We will never see studies on herbs. Why? Because they can't patent them, they can't make money from them. And the Rockefeller medicine industrial complex does not teach MDs herbology. That's reserved for people like myself, who Rockefeller and all of his minions 100 years ago threatened to kill or revoke the license of when we were talking about herbology 100 years ago.
Hey friends, welcome back. Thanks so much for being here. That was my longtime friend, Dr. Diane Kazer. And while it's true, there will never be any admission of how wonderful herbs and natural medicine is for we the people, the good news is the truth is out there. And even though MAHA is under fire, we the people now know the truth about cancer, peptides, and so much more. But they're getting ready to lock down peptides, and Diane tells you exactly what to do before that happens in this one. Thanks so much for tuning in, friends. Before we start, just a quick word about a valued sponsor. When was the last time you actually held your investment? Not checked an app, not watched a number on a screen. I mean, physically held your investment in your hand. That's what I love about physical gold. It's real, it's tangible, and it's yours. No passwords, no logins, no 6-digit codes. In a world that's getting more digital, more abstract, more complicated, gold is simple. Silver too. That's why we're seeing a massive shift into physical precious metal. As everything moves to the cloud, people are starting to value what they can tangibly hold, because real ownership is rare. If you want to see what that looks like for you, check out noblegoldinvestments.com. Right now, all new qualified accounts receive a free 10th ounce American Gold Eagle as a thank you. Real physical gold in your hand. That's the point. And Noble Gold makes it simple. You choose what fits your budget, coins, bars, whatever makes sense, and it ships straight to your door, fully insured. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. The link is below. Hey friends, welcome back. Thank you so very, very much for clicking play. Guys, what you're seeing on my screen is something that I hope is true, and I pray to God this thing is brought to an end. Iranian president says, prepared to end war if security guarantees are offered. And Trump says, well, I think it'll automatically open. He's talking about the Strait of Hormuz, but my attitude is I've obliterated the country. I've obliterated the country. That's an interesting sentence. I'm actually happy that he says I and not we, because I want no part of this illegal, unconstitutional war. And we're going to do a level set at the top of the show. And my friend Diane Kazer, Dr. Diane Kazer is here. She's got the tenacity and temerity and the integrity to help me comment on these things too, because it's painful. Some of these clips we're going to cover right out of the gate are painful, but Diane will cover them with me. Here's the website, guys, dianekazer.com/SGT report. A longtime friend of the show. Diane, welcome back. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great, except for what's happening politically, geopolitically, economically around the world. How are you, Sean?
I'm doing well too, but it's really hard to digest all this stuff because it's so painful. And, you know, you're a human being with empathy. I'm a human being with empathy. And what does that mean? It means we can put ourselves in other people's shoes and feel their pain, their discomfort, right? It's like the story of the Good Samaritan. Diane Kazer, I know you to be a good Samaritan. And if you saw somebody suffering in a ditch who had been hit by a car, you would help them. A lot of people wouldn't. Especially if you're an Israeli and the person laying in the ditch is a Palestinian. We're going to get to that in just one second. But that's what's killing me about all of this, is that so many human beings in the world are declaring themselves, outing themselves to have no empathy for others, Diane. And it's absolutely horrifying to me.
It's horrifying and it's demoralizing and it's exhausting. And, you know, as a woman, and you're a man too, so this is not a man-woman thing. But women, especially women, our nervous systems were not designed to have this much stress, exposure to stress. And of course, we naturally want to nurture, but then there's caring people like you and then all of your listeners who are like, well, what do we do about it? And many days, you know, this is coming from myself and you and many other shows who I do collaborative expert series on as the Ask the Doc series. We're all feeling the same thing. It's like, what can we do about it? And we feel so helpless and hopeless. That's why I like to come on your show, because like, let's focus on the things we can do. And, you know, the decisions that we make, we vote with our dollar. But we have already learned that we don't vote with ballots anymore because they're all rigged from what we've been seeing. And a lot of the ones who we do vote for, and if they're even real, make claims that they're going to do all these things to clean up the world and then talk about then obliterating it after saying we're not going to go into war. So what can we believe? Can we trust their words or their actions? And I think that's what's really important.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that, because that is what I am trying to do on every single show, is just exercise intellectual honesty about the fact that we were lied to. And the president said this war would not happen. He ran on no new wars, specifically no war with Iran. And now when we talk about human empathy, we're going to go through a few of these clips, guys, because I want to level set. We've entered a horrible, unnecessary war as the aggressor for Israel. That's a fact. Marco Rubio admitted as much. And here's Rabbi Shmuley talking about what he believes regarding Palestinians.
Jews were happy to kill Palestinian children in the war in Gaza because we are a blood cult. We are a death cult because our Bible believes that the sins of the fathers are visited upon the children.
Okay, I want to play that last part one more time, guys. Just listen very, very carefully.
Because our Bible believes that the sins of the fathers are visited upon the children.
Okay. Jesus Christ freed us from this belief system. The sins of the father are not visited upon the children, not in our belief system. Every human being has the right, the free will to choose good or evil. And the evil committed by a father should not condemn the son to execution by the state of Israel under any circumstances. But that is what they believe. Not only is that what they believe, folks, they are now celebrating a new law that was just passed in Israel that will put every Palestinian prisoner to death via lethal injection or hanging, every prisoner, including children. Let me sound this under. This is Ben Gavir celebrating with champagne that very bill that I just explained to you, folks. They are going to kill every Palestinian prisoner. And did you know that Israel is one of the only countries, I think the only country on the face of the planet, that has a prison dedicated to just children? You just can't make this stuff up. So you're going to have to choose your side. And that's what I'm trying to get on the record here. I want no part of what's going on with this engineered World War III. And now just one more clip, folks. They are celebrating the occupation of Lebanon as settlers. The real term, the right term should be invaders. And they're celebrating the destruction of Christian churches and holy sites in Lebanon.
All place in the world that we will occupy in a war, milchemet mitzvah. We go to a war, we occupy. Let's say we occupy Lebanon. And over there, there's idol worshipping places. We have the same obligation to destroy it. Why? Because now we live there. We occupy the place. We occupy the place. The Torah say, "Uviar ta'ara mikirbecha." Don't leave anything, any idols among you. So every place that you live in, and now you the original owner of the place now, you the new owner, I should say, from now on you have the same obligation to purify the place from all the idols.
Purify the place from all of the idols. That would include Christian churches with what he calls idols of the Lord Jesus Christ. Destroy Christianity. Ladies and gentlemen, that is where we are in the year 2026. And I have more clips to share, but Diane, I'm coming back to you. Empathy. Empathy and love of your neighbor is what Jesus taught, and evidently these people hate him for that. I just wanted to get it on the historical record, Diane, before we play the next clip.
Yeah, no, rules for thee, but not for we. I mean, so that's what I'm seeing there is psychopathic behavior. And they're saying that they need to destroy anybody who is worshiping idols while they have idols themselves. And whenever I talk about any of these things, I don't stand for any guruism, because that is the destruction and the division of our world. Is, we have religious wars, we have political wars, we have age gap wars, we have men and women wars, we have race war. Like, we are in civil war right now. People keep saying, oh, if and when the civil war happens, we're in it. We're in it. And I don't know what that means and how far reaching that guy is speaking about, but is he also speaking about Christians in the United States, or is he only referring to his neighbor?
Oh, well, just wait. Just wait, Because I've said for a long time we're all Gazans now. So don't think for a minute that this isn't coming to our shores when the time is right. When they deem the time right, don't think for a second this won't come to our shores. In fact, we're already seeing it around the world. Christians are being slaughtered. In Africa, there was just a mass slaughter of Christians during Holy Week, and the mainstream horror media in this country is completely silent. Meanwhile, the Greater Israel Project goes on, right? They're stealing territory in Lebanon. These quote unquote settlers are actually armed invaders. They're displacing people from their homes, places where they've lived for hundreds, thousands of years, and then they're destroying the churches. This is what I'm saying, Diane. And meanwhile, you've got all these knee benders on X that are all for it. They're for all of this. And they don't want any investigation into Charlie Kirk's murder. They're pro-war, and they stand with absolute lunatics like Disney Lindsay. Have you seen this? This demon creature, Lindsey Graham, the ultimate warmonger who's got the ear of the president. Okay, guys, if you're on the side of this war and you're on the side of Israel, then you're on the side of this man, this frickin' pedophile.
I mean, if you just saw a guy that looks like him at Disney World by himself with the princess wand, you'd say, my God, that's a pervert. And then he's dancing around with Mickey Mouse, and he's running around and riding the rides by himself. Reportedly didn't even have security with him. He was walking up, talking to random women. You know he's on Xanax, folks. You know he's on benzos. Take one look at him. And he's so happy this war's happened. They're all having orgasms. This is a spiritual thing for them. So he went to celebrate. His celebration is going to Disney World and walking around all day with a princess wand in his hand. That's a fucking lunatic.
I want everybody just to consider how absolutely frickin' bizarre that is. Is there an alternate universe where Diane Kazer, a grown female, not as weird as a grown 75-year-old man, but is there a universe, a parallel universe in which Diane Kazer would go to Disney World by herself?
No, it's funny you asked that question. I used to have an annual pass to Disneyland when I lived in Orange County, and that was before I knew that they do what they do, and before I knew that they don't pay taxes just like the NFL, and they follow the same kind of statutes that a lot of people who were not paying taxes anyway. They've been getting away with shit like this for a long time, but I look at a guy like that, and I look at the Epstein files and the lack of any kind of consequences for anybody on these lists, and how people have so quickly moved on to pedestalizing Trump and the entire administration. Well, that we just got to put over here and make it look like we're a hero over here. I'm like, no wonder why a lot of we women are out here single going, where are all the men? Because that's the model. That's the model as leadership that so many men are looking to, and we have psychopathy and narcissism, and people are just trying to dominate the world on the rise. Just I say, no wonder.
Yeah. Well, no wonder, 1,000%. And let me just say, when you say, and it's very important, where are the real men? I want to remind you and the audience that as it pertains to Trump, I was pro-Trump, and I said, I don't know what lies in the man's heart, but he's saying the right things. Americans need a hero, and maybe this man will be the right man for the job. Maybe this will be the hero America needs, and he will actually put America first. Now, believe it or not, there are some people out there with popular YouTube channels who say everything's going according to plan. Now, I don't know how that could be the case when we're now evidently sending men, some of our best and brightest, to go to Iran and put their boots on the ground, and that is going to be a slaughter fest. So I pray to God that cooler minds prevail and this thing is brought to an end before thousands of our men die, because I don't think they signed up for this. Diane, I don't think they signed up for it when Trump told them he would never take them to another war in the Middle East. Then tons of people signed up for the military. Now where are they? A lot of these guys are on cargo planes and ships headed over there.
Mm-hmm. I can't get behind any of this. I have so much empathy too. There is something called empathy fatigue. There is such a thing, so we will talk about some medical things today and how you could be your own health hero, because our administration is clearly lying about the things that they were going to do, like glyphosate. We'll get into that.
Yeah. Well, wait. You said something really important before I hit record. They've turned MAHA into HAHA. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. But what I'm driving at, as you imagine, and I'll show a picture of these men aboard these planes headed over there. There's something very, very different about being in the military, arming up, getting on a cargo plane, and heading to a foreign land when that foreign land was the aggressor, when that foreign land attacked us first. That's a very, very different mindset when you board that plane for a war that you don't believe in, and we're the aggressor. And now you're asking yourself the question, are we the bad guys in this case? And you're trying to reconcile as you pray to Jesus, as many of these troops are now doing. They're openly on their knees praying in mass prayers before they get sent over there, because you know the conflict that lies in their hearts. That's the purpose of this show, is to remain intellectually honest and not bow down to an idol like Donald J. Trump, especially when he's lied to us. Again, if he's lied to me 3 times, the relationship's over. That's the way I have to look at this, Diane. And we're going to play the next clip before we get started on the wheelhouse today, which is your health. This clip from Julian Dorsey. Keep in mind that even as Trump is trying to back out of this war, as Trump is looking for an exit, Israel keeps sabotaging at every turn.
I mean, I feel like I'm talking ass backwards right here, because of course I am. But this is the world we're living in, where the United States can pay a nation billions of dollars, nation of 9 million people, and then say, hey, we're ramping down strikes on energy infrastructure because we're trying to make peace. And that same government that represents 9 million people getting paid by us can say, fuck you, bomb them. And bomb the exact shit that he said not to bomb. Why is that? I really, really wonder why. Why is that? And I'll tell you who got vindicated immediately on this is Joe Kent. In fact, Joe Kent was doing like a fucking Chris Collinsworth play-by-play on Twitter of this as it was going out.
All right, let me pause it there and let me show you this. President Trump just granted a full pardon to Jewish nursing home operator Joseph Schwartz after he served just 3 months of a 3-year sentence for a nearly $39 million fraud scheme. This guy stole $39 million from elderly people and their families and then bought a pardon for about $1 million. So I guess that's MAGA. I guess that's MAGA at this point, Diane. What are your thoughts on this?
No, Sean, there's a lot to talk about today. There's a lot to be angry about today. There's a lot to be triggered about today. There's a lot to be divided about today. And it is like there's something called looshing. You've heard of that term before, Sean?
Yeah, loosh energy. I just covered that with David Weiss. Loosh energy. It's a demonic, soul-sucking energy that preys on human beings, on human energy, correct?
Yes. And I remember our very first show, Sean, was about parasites. And it was right after COVID started. And we were trying to warn people against the shots. And I've been helping people cleanse parasites, kill parasites, and heal from parasites for over 15 years now. And I'm like, parasites are not just a worm or a protozoa. Parasites are a top-down model that's energetically looshing your energy from distracting you, dividing you, getting you angry, feeling like a victim. I mean, we could see it. And it's on left and right. It's not either side. Any politician is a parasite. And I'm sorry, but maybe there's some that come in with good intentions, maybe. But like you and I talked about before, it's like the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Bobby Kennedy talked about it. He talked about, oh yeah, we're going to get rid of the glyphosate. Actually, Trump talked about getting rid of the glyphosate. But that's like similar to Agent Orange from the World War II, where people came back super sick and they still have lawsuits on it. But yet they determined that it's a national threat to not ban it, and that we would lose all of our food if farmers didn't have access to it. But yet at the same time, they're trying to say that they're trying to end the war on disease, but the number one cause of disease is Roundup, which is glyphosate. Make this make sense. So looshing is to get us to talk about these things in two divisive sides that, oh no, well, actually, I'm going to trust the plan because now they said that it's a national security threat. We wouldn't have any food while Nebraska's on fire and a lot of the farms are burning down, and I'm just like the same thing you said earlier, Sean. Please do not put we in this category. It's them that's doing that, and burning down egg farms and taking away our food supply. And then now, because of the Strait of Hormuz being closed, it's going to reopen again, or no, it's not, and who knows? Now we have gas prices going up. That's going to spike the prices of food. So I hope, and they say something's going to happen April 1st. A lot of us are on not sure what that's going to look like, but we can be sure that because of gas prices going up, a lot is going to increase in inflation, and people can already not afford their homes, especially in Florida, where they're paying $7,000 and $11,000 a year in homeowners insurance, or any kind of insurance for that matter, for hurricane insurance, flood insurance. There's only one actual insurance company in all of Florida that underwrites for flood. I can go on and on about this stuff, but they're crashing at every angle, but yet people are still saying trust the plan and pedestalize these gurus when they're not.
Yeah.
The plan is to end our freedom. Full
That's
stop.
okay. See, this is perfect. You're the perfect guest on the perfect day to have this conversation because you're absolutely right. And that's what so many of the MAGA Americans, the people that are still on board the train, are missing. It appears that Armageddon is literally being engineered on purpose, which is why some of the commanders are telling the troops that Trump was ordained for this, be not afraid. He's engineering Armageddon to bring about the second coming of Jesus Christ. Literally, okay, that's the claim. That's the allegation being made by some of our troops. And that's insanity because no man knows the day or the hour. No man can predict the time. No man can engineer the second coming of Christ. Meanwhile, the Israeli rabbis are openly talking about the return of their Moshiach, which is their Messiah, which is the Antichrist, which will sit atop a one world government. Meanwhile, Agent Orange, guys, was primarily manufactured by Dow and Monsanto, the same Monsanto whose Roundup, glyphosate, was just sold to Bayer, the same Bayer that Donald Trump gave immunity to through an executive order against any future lawsuits. Any future lawsuits. Folks, is that MAHA? Is that MAGA? Because if that's making America great again, I want no part of it. Meanwhile, shocking, not really, but sort of shocking, CIA knew since 1951, the CIA knew since 1951 about cancer and parasites, the relationship between cancer, tumors, and parasites, parasitic tumors called cancer. Ladies and gentlemen, Diane Kazer and I, Diane specifically, has been over this target for a very long time. You want to talk a little bit about that? The CIA knew. Of course they knew. It's pretty clear to me the CIA, the Mossad, MI6, MI5, they're all owned by the bankers and they're all the enemies of we the people, Diane. Can we at least start there? And then we'll talk about the cover-up of cancer.
Where do I even begin with this?
I mean, right? I mean, it's obvious they're the enemies. They shot JFK. They murdered JFK. And that's when we lost our government. And now here we sit. Now here we sit on the cusp of World War III. Meanwhile, the Epstein files, a cover-up by the FBI and Donald J. Trump's administration. The assassination of Charlie Kirk, who actually done it. Who did it? Covered up by the FBI and the Trump administration. Joe Kent saying he wasn't allowed even to investigate the potential of foreign involvement in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And now you got the CIA saying, yeah, we know cancer's parasites.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this is all part of the Great Awakening.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the show, Sean. It's like so many of us, so many of your listeners are like, how much more awake can we get? And at what cost to my nervous system? Because, we have a lot of people. This is why so many people are also, 80% of the population in the United States anyway. The first thing that they go do when they're struggling with a health issue is go, like you and I talk the same, is they go talk to their doctor. If you have these symptoms, issues, talk to your doctor. Eventually, if you're desperate, if you're tired, if you're sleepless enough, you're going to go do the easy button and you're going to go take a medication. That's what 80% of Americans are doing. But yet we know, like we've been talking about this for a long time, from the makers of the COVID shots, you have them rolling out the same prescriptions with the same toxins in them. And they're talking about, and they have been talking about, oh, with this administration, we're going to remove the mercury and aluminum and from the vaccine schedule, and we're going to reduce the amount that people need to take. But yet mercury and aluminum still in flu shots. So people think, or we're going to remove red food dye. Yay, it's a start. You guys, we can't be at the starting line right now. We have been preaching from the rooftops for 20 years now. At least that's how long I've been doing this. 86,000 toxins and counting, 3,000 new ones every year. But yay, let's celebrate that they're taking out red food dye while they protect and make immune and encourage the use of herbicides known as Roundup, which also, it's not just Roundup. It's not just an herbicide that's toxic. It's not just something, yes, of course, that's a xenoestrogen. It is the #1 cause of cancer, which also brings on parasites. And they have a relationship. Poison and parasites have a relationship. So we could talk about that. And peptides too, as part of the solution. Because we need to heal from the damage that these things cause. But there is a synergistic relationship from those two things, parasites and poisons. And parasites actually use heavy metals like aluminum and mercury to build a wall, which is called biofilm, to protect them in your biofilm, which is the #1 reason people get sick and can't absorb nutrients and vitamins and healthy foods anymore. And it's protected by these things. Therefore, the more mercury, the more aluminum that we're exposed to, also chemtrails. And then also keep in mind, mercury and aluminum, what is the #1 toxin that is in herbicides and pesticides and insecticides? Aluminum. What is the number one toxin that you and I talked with Dane Wigington on that show? Aluminum. They have aluminum and mercury everywhere. It brings down the immune system. The immune system gets exhausted and then therefore can't protect us from parasites. It lowers our vibration. And this is where I think, and you asked this question to me before, Sean, like what world are we in? What realm is this? Because I believe, and I truly believe this, that the worse off our immune system is at defending us, because do we even have troops that defend us anymore? No, they're going to fight another country's war. Well, look at that about your health. Are they looking to protect you and your immune system? No, they're prescribing, they meaning the FDA and all of the MDs that they train, they're prescribing immune suppressing medications. Every one of the medications is designed to numb you out from your body trying to scream and communicate and whisper that there's something going on down here. They're never going to get to the root cause. They weren't programmed that way. So stop going to your doctor thinking they're going to help you find the real answer as to why you're sick. No, they're going to numb out the check engine light and they're going to put you on another one, then another one. Your immune system, therefore, is it kind of, I would say it like this. It looks like obese troops, sending obese troops that have never exercised a day in their life and expecting them to be our security. That's what your immune system looks like. And so we have to understand that they don't have our back. You are the only one that has your back. And that's why I always say it's time for you to be your own best doctor. It's time to be your own best healer and know what you're going to get when you go talk to your doctor.
Yeah. You know, you triggered a thought. Nobody's got your back, not only as it relates to your health, folks, in this country, because we know the hospitals, at least during the lockdowns, became killing fields. And now we're hearing that you'd be crazy to click that organ donor box on your driver's license, because you increase your rate of having your organs harvested when you go to the hospital by about 7,000%. I'm making up that number, but be very, very aware, folks, that what they really want from you in these hospitals is your organs.
I'm asking you to speak to who's ever in charge of Overland Park Regional Medical Center. I am sending this to the news. I've asked you not to take my son. Also, I swear my son would have not wanted his organs removed. All of us, all parents, are here. We said no. We said no. Ma'am, please, can I get the director, whoever is over Overland Park Regional? You just told me no, ma'am. Can you tell me no on this phone again? Tell me no again.
I am happy to find someone to protect
No, I want to talk to who is ever in charge of this hospital.
Okay.
This hospital.
Okay.
And the attorneys that is sitting, that's saying that this is okay, that you said that they said this is okay. Ma'am, I am asking, I need them to come in this. My son did not want that. I signed when he was about it. It's not, he's not getting that. Yes, can you go get whoever's in charge? Thank you.
Here's another clip regarding what Diana and I were just talking about, the CIA cover-up of cancer related to parasitic infection.
Soviet scientists discovered that antiparasitics had anti-cancer effects in the 1950s, and that was literally classified by the CIA for about 50 years, and then they declassified it in 2011. So we were set back, you know, half a century of research on these compounds. We would have been much further along at this point if they hadn't chose to bury that information.
Diane, as you know, Dr. William Marcus in Canada is doing fabulous work and having tremendous success using antiparasitics to treat people with advanced forms of cancer. Some people with stage 3, stage 4 cancer have been cured with ivermectin, fenbendazole, menbendazole. So the antiparasitics and the effectiveness of them in treating people with cancer, I guess it means we're further along in this battle than most people know, regardless of the CIA burying that data for decades.
It could be. And this is where I always want to talk about first do no harm. You know, when you and I talked about parasites back in 2020, God, it doesn't even feel like it's been 6 years ago. But we were talking about first do no harm. And my question always, as a doctor of traditional naturopathy, that's what I do. I'm not an MD. I don't prescribe things, and there's a reason for that. Have we been able to accomplish similar things, if not equal outcomes, with herbs that have been around for thousands of years, which are actually cloned in a lab, and then they add toxic ingredients to them, and then slap a label on it, call it a drug, mark it up, and create, you know, a monopoly where they have a patent and they're the only ones that can sell it. And I'm talking about, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with ivermectin or fenbendazole or any other prescription medication. They come with consequences. So can we do something as effective without doing medications. Yeah, let's look at herbs. And so this is what we've been doing in our ministry for over 15 years, is helping people not only to kill the parasites, because this is one huge myth. Whenever I hear people saying, I'm stocking up on medications for parasites, I'm like, hold on a minute. There's so much more to the picture than just killing. If we just go kill the parasites and we don't reignite the immune system, then those parasites have a red carpet rolled out for them. Oh, I already got to thrive here. I mean, people have no idea how deep these parasites and protozoa and poisons live inside of the body. So I'm not saying this to scare you or sound complicated, but there is an approach where you could address cleansing the toxins that keep the parasites there, then killing them, and then healing from the damage they cause, and then igniting the immune system and your whole body so that they can't keep coming back again. What I was saying earlier, which I'm so glad that you interviewed David Weiss. He's amazing. I love him. I've interviewed him for my show too. He's such a disruptor and gets you thinking beyond the programming that we've all been enslaved to believe. In fact, there's so much predictive programming on movies too. They've shown us for years what the future, the now would look like. And so it makes it easier to accept, right? Oh, well, that's just like we see in the movies. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, must be real then. So if we're vibrating at a low frequency, if we're sick, if you're tired, if you're diseased, if you had diagnoses, if you're taking medications, then you're vibrating at a lower frequency. And therefore, that is an open door for parasites to keep coming back. So if you can truly elevate your frequency and your vibration, it doesn't welcome them to have a home there. They can't use your house as an Airbnb anymore. So I want to go beyond a step further of killing. Do what you want to kill the parasites. There's herbs that we have. Sean's page he shared earlier. I have a whole parasite cleanse. It also has something in there, and this is my point. Do what you want to kill parasites. Some of the medications, like the fenbendazole, they have not so good effects. So if we look at fenbendazole, it doesn't really have as a prescription toxic active ingredients, but it is considered toxic to aquatic life with long-lasting effects. And it also has issues. And what they found in studies, it damages fertility or the unborn child. It also is very toxic for other things too, inside of the mom or in any body. It has the potential to cause damage to organs like the liver, lymph nodes, stomach, nervous system through prolonged or repeated exposure. So, have I taken these medications before? Yes. Do I take them now? If I need to, if it's really bad. But there's herbs that have been purported to do the same thing, but we will never see studies on herbs. Why? Because they can't patent them. They can't make money from them. And the Rockefeller medicine industrial complex does not teach MDs herbology. That's reserved for people like myself, who Rockefeller and all of his minions 100 years ago threatened to kill or revoke the license of when we were talking about herbology 100 years ago. So they're doing it again. And here we are again. So I'll keep saying this as long as I can keep saying this. Do a parasite cleanse, heal from the damage, and reignite the immune system that they completely destroyed over the years. Because if you're killing parasites, they've been around for a long time. If you've only done it now and you're an adult, they've been around for a really long time. In fact, I have a couple slides I'll share after this, Sean, when I get your commentary, because cancer truly is mostly tumors of parasites. And I see so many people who they're excited. They go into their doctor and they're like, oh, they removed the tumor from my brain. And now the MS or whatever symptoms that they were experiencing before, it's gone. Praise Jesus. Well, 3 days later, now they can't even talk. And I'm talking about patients that I work with or people who I know. You can't just cut out the cancer. You're essentially cutting out nests of parasite eggs in communities that are called tumors, but they've hidden that data since the 1950s. So we also then want to go back in, because once it gets to cancer, it's been decades of parasite infections, whether or not you took the jab. They're even talking about putting this kind of crap in Ozempic, which is why so many people are getting sick. And now 14% of the population is on it or has been on it. And before you and I talked about this, Sean, it was like 7%. Now it's doubled because people are desperate. So this is an important topic where the most important thing right now, we're also seeing Bobby Kennedy do. He's been saying that he wants to override the suppression of things like stem cell and raw milk and peptides and things like that. Well, now he's restricting them, and now he's taking them away from our access and saying that research grade peptides are only for animals and their research. But what has the FDA done for research? They're making it sound like they're so much better when they're actually adding more toxins to it. And then therefore we're subject to the same yeast nonsense that you and I talked about. I'm connecting a lot of dots here. when we talked about what is in the chemtrails, mold, yeast, the same things that are destroying the forest are the same things that they're putting into Ozempic and calling it a weight loss drug.
Oh my, those are powerful statements, especially, did you just say that now Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has backed off supporting raw milk and other forms of nutrition? Is that what you just said?
What I hear him talk about, and I just listened to an interview yesterday, because I'm curious about what he's saying now. But it's ambiguous, right? What they say when they first come into administration is ambiguous, right? Like his first statement was about basically renewing it and what MAHA was all about, and brought in several of my friends and colleagues as part of the MAHA board with lots of, mama bears and other people who've really been doing this work like I've been doing for a long time. And then now someone like the Food Babe, there's a lot of people who have been really very open about glyphosate and GMOs. And I was protesting back in 2012 about these things, and before people even knew what they really were. And, they're adding genetically modified ingredients into Ozempic. And those are things that if you're buying research grade peptides, like the ones that Sean and I have talked about before in other shows, that is also on Sean's link, you're not getting a lot of those same toxic ingredients. It's a significant difference of what's added to anything that you're going to get as a drug versus just a research grade peptide that you inject or intranasal or take as a capsule. But what he's doing now, what they're doing now, retatrutide, which is the best GLP, if anybody's going to do it, can't get into it. There's a whole long discussion about what's the difference between retatrutide, Ozempic, which is semaglutide, blah, blah, blah. It basically, anything semaglutide is just slowing gastric emptying, and that's why people are getting thyroid cancer and pancreatic cancer and losing their eyesight, no matter if it's a FDA prescription or if it's just semaglutide by itself. Semaglutide with a bunch of other toxic ingredients, like the yeast ingredients that they use to preserve it so that you don't have to refrigerate it, that's what they have to do. It's so much different. So when people say peptides are bad and throw the baby out with the bathwater, I'd say, yes, Ozempic is bad. Put that over there. Peptides are super healthy. We make 8,000 of them a day. But what he's doing now, Sean, is there are 19 peptides on the FDA's Category 2 list. Here's what they always do. He is blaming it on Obama, or was it Obama? No, Biden, sorry. He's blaming it on Biden that because they moved some of these peptides into Category 2 list, he's saying that now because they moved it so that we could purchase them with the links that we talk about, like through Limitless, right? We have the access to purchase them now. What he's doing now is moving them into Category 2, which means that very soon here, a lot of the favorite peptides that we've been using instead of medications are going to only be available through a compound pharmacy and through a doctor that will give you 7 minutes of their time. They won't really teach you how to use them, and they're going to be 4 times more expensive at the least. I've been following this for years, and I said, one day we'll get to this point, so get them now, stock up on them now, try them now before we don't have access. Those would be things like BPC, which is the one that you and I talked about, body protective compound, which is it's made up of just chains of amino acids. You eat protein, you eat meat, it turns into amino acids, and these amino acid chains are peptides sequenced together. So BPC, LL37, GHKCU, which is copper, the other ones that people like for human growth hormone, secretagogues that actually help us to make our own human growth hormone. These are things that are going to be taken away. Ipamorelin, these are things that are saving people's lives because it helps us to put our body back together again from all the damage. LL37 is a peptide that breaks down the biofilm, that if you're taking antibiotics and you're not feeling better and there's antibiotic resistance, is because that biofilm is so strong. Because remember we talked about earlier, the parasites use the heavy metals like that we're breathing in or consuming or drinking from glyphosate, because now they're just making it rain glyphosate everywhere with farming because we needed it to protect our food supply, or otherwise you're going to starve. So it's like glyphosate or you starve. Oh, thanks for the lesser of two evils there. Can we just do something different, right? So LL37 is a peptide that actually breaks down that biofilm so that now it's easier to clear the parasites and to clear the biofilm and all the toxins and poisons that they've accumulated inside their body. Therefore, you would reduce the risk of cancer. So we can't make any claims, but LL37 has been something that we've been using powerfully in my practice to replace the need for antibiotics, because it actually breaks down the biofilm where antibiotics can't break down that biofilm, which is where all those poisons and pathogens and parasites live. So he's threatening to take them away, make them medications, therefore they're more expensive and people can't readily buy them.
Sorry for a quick break, guys. We've all seen the headlines about those miracle weight loss shots, but the 2026 data is officially in, and it's a wake-up call. A major analysis revealed that once people stop taking those injections, they regain an average of 60% of the weight within a year. Even worse, most of that gain is pure fat, but the muscle they lost stays gone, leaving them with a crashed metabolism and a body that's functionally older than when they began. That's why I know you're going to be obsessed with today's sponsor, GLP-1 Elevate. Instead of using needles to override your body's system, it uses clinically studied plant-based ingredients like metabolate to help your body naturally boost its own hunger control signals. You'll get the same fullness and fewer cravings, but without the scary side effects or the metabolic rebound. GLP-1 Elevate supports your goals while protecting your muscle, so you can actually keep the results for good. To celebrate Valentine's Day, get 50% off GLP-1 Elevate at trimwithsgt.com. Every order includes a complete support bundle with free VIP coaching for life, a 60-day money-back guarantee, and free express shipping on subscriptions. Head to trimwithsgt.com right now to claim your 50% discount before it expires. The link is below.
It actually breaks down the biofilm where antibiotics can't break down that biofilm, which is where all those poisons and pathogens and parasites live. So he's threatening to take them away, make them medications, therefore they're more expensive and people can't readily buy them.
Yeah, of course. And that reminds me of UN Agenda 2030, because they want to outlaw everything that makes free people free, including our single-family homes, our gas-powered automobiles. They want us herded into 15-minute cities. By the way, this is Dr. William Makis and two doctors whose names you might want to know. One, Dr. Diane Kazer, the other, Dr. William Makis. If you ever find yourself with stage 3, stage 4 cancer, well, your options are pretty thin, and this is one of the doctors you might want to reach out to. Listen to this.
Another area that very few people know about is ivermectin has effect on neurological conditions, and the ones that I've had the most success with have been Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. And again, it's a very simple thing. I discovered it by accident. There was a mouse model of sort of Parkinsonism. And for Alzheimer's, you can't even find the research because it's been scrubbed from Google. So there's a study that was done, a preclinical study on ivermectin and Alzheimer's, where the researchers concluded that ivermectin has an effect on Alzheimer's and should be studied. It's been scrubbed from Google. If you go on DuckDuckGo, you can actually get the abstract of that study. But in Google, it's completely scrubbed. You just see the titles. It was done in the Middle East, and it's nowhere to be found. You can't get a PDF of the article, nothing.
Let me jump to the chase, guys. Quote, I had a patient with Parkinson's that was barely mobile. After a few weeks of high-dose ivermectin, she was playing golf a week later, end quote. You know, it just seems to me, Diane, that the powers that ought not be, they've declared themselves as the satanic anti-humanists they are, and our job is just to call them out so people can take action. Take steps to protect yourself, folks. Why would Google scrub all of that from their search engine? Google, quote, don't be evil. That used to be their slogan. Well, now they're overtly, explicitly evil, Diane. And I guess one thing we could talk about, too, before we part ways, no rush, but chlorine dioxide, red light therapy, vitamin B17. These are things people can do right now today to help prevent getting cancer in the first place. Maybe we should talk a little bit about that. By the way, does methylene blue fit into that picture for you?
I don't really recommend methylene blue, and the reason behind that is my question is always, and this is my value system, and this is what I teach our members, our patients, our followers, is methylene blue is known to increase mitochondria production, which basically means your cell's ability to produce ATP so that you have not just energy, but that is really what communicates between all the different parts of the body, and you have 11 systems like a soccer field. The way that they can speak to each other is with peptides. If you didn't have peptides, you wouldn't have a full team of 11 soccer players playing together. They would be doing things on their own. And that's actually kind of what they want the future to look like for us. Stay home, save your own life, wear a VR headset or virtual reality headset, and don't rely on the outside world, and don't connect with anybody else, and therefore have no collaboration with humans, so we don't talk to each other. That's a life in the future without peptides inside the body, and then what it looks like on the outside. So I would say add peptides to that. And what I mean by that is when we look at methylene blue, that is what people talk about. Is it helped with this specific outcome? Can I also do something with peptides, which is what your body already makes, by the way? These are not exogenous things that just randomly came from a lab. these are synthetic to look exactly like the peptides that you make. Right now, they're more pure than if the FDA's hands were on it. And there are things like MOTS-C and NAD and SS31, which they've already taken away, SS31, and now it's becoming a drug. It was one of my favorite peptides that we would use with patients because SS31 is known to support the body so that your cells can make their own energy again. So you wouldn't need anything like methylene blue anymore, because when you reawaken and ignite your body's systems that have forgotten, or they're too exhausted, or they can't communicate to make these peptides on your own, and then you reignite that, you're not codependent on taking anything for life anymore. And methylene blue, it's a dye that came from the industry. So I say, can you take it? Sure. Does it have some damage? Just like I was talking about with fenbendazole, it can. But is there something that doesn't have damage that can do just not better, or I should say, cut this part out, that can do the same thing, if not better, without poisoning your body? And that's when I bring in peptides, because then you get energy, then you get clarity, and then you can trust your intuition, your immune system starts back up again, it can defend you. It can also help to restore your tissues from all the damage that poisons and pathogens cause. So I would say there's other things, there's more pure things that I like to recommend. And I want you guys to look into this stuff before it's no longer available, because peptides have been such a huge part of what has helped me and a lot of our patients and a lot of people around the United States specifically. Research has been going on with peptides for hundreds of years. It's not something new, but certainly because we're so poisoned and pathologized with things like parasites, our bodies are broken down so much that we have to wake them up again. And you can get them now before they turn into drugs, and then they're only available through your doctor, and they might even mark them up right now. Actually, it decreased in price, but Ozempic at one point was $1,500 a month. And now it's a little bit less than that. But I talk about people, if you're going to really want to lose weight, you can get some retatrutide now before it's going to become their most profitable drug in the FDA history of any pharmaceutical that they've ever put into market. That would be retatrutide. It is one that actually can heal more than just helping with weight loss. It actually treats the root cause of weight loss with things like metabolic chaos and insulin resistance and what your body is doing with sugar. Rather than storing it in fat, your body actually uses it for fuel. So that's something that you can get on Sean's landing page when you click on Shop VIP Peptides. And that's all about what I do in our VIP group when I talk to our patients about that sort of thing. You can get them for $100 a month now. But guess what the FDA is going to do? They're going to mark it up to at least $1,200 a month, and they're going to make it more toxic. So if you really want to lose weight, but also fix the root cause why you're gaining weight to begin with, that's something to look into. Retatrutide. I can't make, claims. I can't say this is medical advice. Right now, this is just a friendly conversation, right, Sean? And I have a couple other slides to share before we walk away today, because there's a couple more things that I wanted to share with a community of people that we ran toxicology reports and found some patterns that I think we all need to learn from.
Okay, well, why don't we do that? Because I was going to do the call to action, and I want you to point out how to get the peptides via that landing page. In full disclosure, I've taken about 3 months off the peptides. I still have a fridge full of some of the peptides, some of the ones that Diane's talking about, but I took a break because I was having problems with air bubbles, and it just... I wasn't getting it down as masterfully as you have it down, but why don't you do your screen share, then we'll come back to that.
Sure, you got it. So interestingly, Sean, one of the slides that I put together for today was the very topic that you went straight to. So as usual, you and I are so aligned. I call this crooks exposed. Dr. Mackis had to move from Canada because of what they did in Canada politically. He had to move to Florida because he's been helping people treat the root cause of cancer for a long time. I would say that ivermectin is not treating the root cause of cancer. It's killing the parasites that cause the cancer. So we'll take it a step further with some of the next slides that I have. But now Canada, I don't know how long people can continue to live in these countries when these things keep happening. That's why I left the United States. Helping cancer patients is now illegal in Canada. Health coaching of cancer patients is now illegal. Naturopathy, this is what Dr. Dina Kazer does, board certified doctor of traditional naturopathy, now illegal in Canada. Using ivermectin and repurposed drugs, now illegal. Doing podcasts and videos like we're doing right now on health is now illegal, all punishable by up to 2 years in prison. I mean, can they say any more clearly, we don't care about your health. They only care about the profit.
It's true. Well, by the way, the leading cause of death, one of the leading causes of death in Canada now is MAID, government-supported, sponsored, and paid for government-assisted suicide. So, I mean, and these people now want to outlaw Jesus Christ and the mention of biblical truth. You know, if you dare speak truth about the trans agenda, well, that's hate speech. If you dare declare that it's evil based on biblical truth, well, that's hate speech. I mean, it kind of brings us full circle. This war on Christians, it's not just limited to Africa and Palestine and Lebanon, folks. Wake up.
Yeah. I mean, the what I always say is that the war without is the war within. So another part of how we take this back is to become less and less and less dependent on their systems. So vote with your dollar. You know, right now we have 90% plus of our crops in the United States that are laced with glyphosate, which is, you know, again, it's the main reason why we have disease. It's the number one poisoning that causes autoimmune disease. It is the number one destroyer of your gut lining and your brain barrier. If you have a leaky gut and a leaky brain barrier, this is how these toxins or anything that you're breathing in or slathering on your body or consuming or drinking, it can easily get into your brain. So Trump talked about building a wall to have a divider between one country and another. Well, think about your blood-brain barrier as that wall. Now there is a smaller wall. So immigrants, in this case, you know, I live in Mexico. I don't see a lot of immigrants here on this side of the country anyway. I think the Mexicans are great people. They're very peaceful and they grow their own food. And a lot of this stuff is local. We don't have chemtrails here like they do in America, United States anyway. So anytime you think about glyphosate, think about root cause of cancer, root cause of autoimmune disease. So this is why just killing the parasites is part of it. But the parasites, as we talked about in other shows, will harbor the heavy metals, the aluminum coming from glyphosate, harbors the mold, harbors the environmental toxins that I am going to share next, and then we'll cut it, Sean. I've seen so many toxins over the years spike and increase, even though this administration has talked about MAHA decreasing circulation of use of them. They've only increased them while they've talked about doing things but have not done them. That is a definition of a liar, of a psychopath, and a narcissist who's manipulating you to get them to get you to believe that they're on your side. So maybe maybe RFK says some cool things, but where's the action? Is he a good guy? And then somebody in the administration is saying, okay, well, he's a good guy, but he's a nice player and actor to get the people to buy into it. It feels nice when you believe it, but follow the action. What actions are they taking?
Yeah.
So,
well, I got one for you. RFK Jr. is a great guy compared to these knee benders. Gunther Eagleman, who once said no more wars. Catturd, who once said no more U.S. involvement in foreign wars. Rob Schneider, the unfunny comedian who once said no war with Iran 3 times on Twitter. Now they all support it. Every single one of them supports this war with Iran. Meanwhile, do you happen to know who the man on the left is, Diane? Pop quiz.
No.
You ready for this? Oh, you're going to love this. Let me just make this point, folks, just so y'all understand. If you support all of this evil insanity, you stand with Lindsey Graham, Disney Lindsey. You stand with Howard Lutnick. You stand with Israeli aggression devoid of any human empathy. You stand with Gunther Eagleman, Insurrection Barbie, Catturd, all of the known knee benders, including Ashton Forbes, Juanita Broderick. Reconcile, folks. The man on the left is Kristi Noem's husband. So that's the state of MAGA as far as I can tell. And let me scroll down and share one more thing. Oh, yeah, this is interesting. The bullet used to kill Charlie, it does not match the rifle allegedly owned by Tyler Robinson. That's on the record. But here's what I wanted to show, folks. This photo breaks my heart because I don't have Stockholm Syndrome. And Trump lied when he promised this would never happen if he was our president. Kim.com notes, get ready to die for Israel. Let me just share the first comment. MAGA Grammy says, oh my God, where's the proof anyone is being sent? Boots on the ground in Iran. WTF, what happened to you? When did you sell out? To which I responded, this is what the knee-bending sellouts look like. Gunther Eagleman, Catturd, Rob Schneider. Kind of meant to end the show with that, but you got another slide, don't you?
Catturd. Speaking of Catturd, Sean, and everybody listening, we've talked about this before too. I would say virtually the large percentage of mental health that we struggle with in the United States comes from cat turds and a parasite known as toxoplasmosis.
That's true.
And This is what we otherwise knew as a cat lady syndrome, but it's not just that. Toxoplasmosis is a lot more far-reaching than that, but it can alter your brain. It can make you depressed and anxious and schizophrenic and also angry and feeling like you're a lunatic at times, especially around the full moon. And so people see this is this is also part of the looshing. That, you know, when you have parasites, protozoa in the brain, you got to get rid of that, but also clean up the mess that they cause, which is what I'm going to talk about next. But the other thing is what you're saying there, Sean, is, and this is a part of me putting my holistic health coaching hat on, where we look deep in the shadows of the ego. The ego needs to know. It needs to know. It wants to figure things out. They know that. They know that that's the program, that if they could throw out confusion where people are trying to figure out who killed Charlie Kirk and did RFK really get, we will never know. I want to grant you guys peace, maybe with the question of, do you think that you will ever know? And why does that matter? If you're still in a quest to think that you need to know the answer to the things that you will never know, you are in a hypnosis loosh farm. This is how they get you. They get us angry, they get us upset, they get us confused, they get us divided, and then we're exhausted and we get sick. So maybe find peace with what you should want to know. What the number one thing that you should want to know, which is what they're trying to distract us from, is, why am I sick? Why do I not have the life, the energy, the vitality, the beauty, the immunity that God built me with? What's going on? And how do I focus on that? Take matters back into you. What can I do to help me so that I could be stronger, brighter, and smarter for my loved ones around me? This is the number one question we should be asking, not who killed who and what person, just like that game of life, like which weapon was it that killed the such and such person that we used to play when we were younger? I think it's called Life. I think it's just called Life, right, Sean? That board game?
Yeah, the game of life. Yeah, well, in the game of Monopoly, and we all know Rothschild owns all of the most valuable properties, and Rothschild equals Epstein, Rothschild equals Israel. So,
Yep.
you know, I heard something interesting the other day as we wrap up the conversation. And do you have another slide, by the way?
Oh yeah, let me share a couple of them, but go ahead and share your point, Sean.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it was comedian Dave Smith who said, you know, just regarding the new state of Israel, 1948, after the Balfour Declaration. So it's Rothschild's Israel, right? And they took over Palestine. They took over Palestinian land. That's where they decided to put the new state of Israel in 1948. And Dave Smith made an interesting point the other day. He said, you know, it's a little bit like if you had a son born today and you named him Jesus Christ, and you told all of your neighbors, you told the whole town, everybody has to worship my son because his name is Jesus Christ. It's in the Bible. I thought that was interesting because Rothschild's Israel is not the Israel of the Bible. I just want to make that really, really clear, folks. And by the way, I don't advise you to name your son Jesus Christ. That would be blasphemous.
I think Trump actually did self-named himself Jesus Christ.
Maybe.
This is what I see as a doctor. People find this very hard to believe. And this is what we talked about already previously, is that documents written in the 1950s, later declassified in 2014, basically have been suppressed. And they were examining striking biochemical similarities between parasitic worms and cancerous tumors. They suppressed all of this. They don't want us to know these things. Of course, they're happy to sell you the radiation and chemo treatments that could cost hundreds of thousands, if not millions, if your insurance doesn't cover it. And even if it does, they make a lot of money. They find a little small tumor. We'll keep an eye on it till it becomes cancer. Well, what if it's already there? Can I prevent it from turning into a large cancer? We'll keep an eye on it. This is what I see all day long. Nearly half of colorectal cancers are now occurring in younger patients, study shows. So this is not even an aging thing anymore. I'm not sure if these people, these younger children, have taken the jab or not, but we can't keep pointing out, oh, did they take the jab? And I'm noticing that in social media now. There's less people who are asking that question. We're swimming in this stuff. And I wanted to show you a little bit about what that means when I say swimming in this stuff. We had a group of 18 patients that we just did something called the root cause reset. And I want to just share some of the findings because these patients were pretty health conscious. You know, they came from people like Sean and Mike Adams and Sarah Westall and other people who were talking about health, having me on a lot and having other amazing speakers talking about root causality and why we get sick and diseased. And pesticides, look at this, Sean. The number one dominant pattern out of 18 patients, all of them had at least one pesticide abnormality. What that means is that they were all in the dangerous range, meaning that it's causing the leaky gut, the leaky brain, the birthplace to autoimmune disease. But When you go to a doctor, an MD, oh, I have Parkinson's. Oh, I have Hashimoto's. Oh, I have MS. What is the number one thing they're going to put you on? An immunosuppressant medication like prednisone to turn off your immune system so you can't feel the symptoms of being poisoned. And then they classify you as disease, put you in a box, and that's all you get. Why are you getting sick to begin with? Why are our doctors not asking that question? Because there's no money in it for them. That's why. So this is what we saw, 18 of 18 of our patients, and other ones were VOCs, which are environmental toxins, and other ones too that we saw BPA. We pretty much see in everybody that's plastic, so stop drinking from plastics. This is what it looks like. These are the number one toxins that we saw across our 18 patients. Pesticides were the number one. The number one. Yet Bobby Kennedy and Trump are telling us that we need to keep it for our food supply while we get poisoned with these very pesticides that are allowing them, so they say, to grow food while they poison us with said food. I don't know if I'd rather starve and die than be poisoned with pesticides and get cancer and then go through chemo and radiation. I mean, I'm just getting us to think. Also, so this is a little bit blurry. I had to blow it up. You know that show we did with Dane Wigington? When I said, Dane, I'm seeing across the board in 2020, the toxins that I saw coming out of my patients were completely different. The patterns completely different. Their immune systems were destroyed. Their gut bugs were on high alert, meaning they're taking down their immune system. The amount of herpes, the amount of all kinds of retroviruses were all coming out. The more you're exposed to these toxins, the more retroviruses that have been injected into you with these said injections that they call vaccines and immune, lifesavers. Those are how we get these viruses. They inject them into us. When we're poisoned with these types of things, immune system goes down and the viruses, the retroviruses can come back out. And then you have a cold sore or you have an infection or I call it skin inflammation, whatever it is. So viruses don't just happen. It's because your immune system is exhausted, just like our nervous system. What we saw, and again, sorry, this is blurry, mycotoxins is mold toxins. I asked Dane this. I said, Dane, I am seeing mycotoxins in every patient, whereas before COVID, before they started spraying chemtrails like the way that they are, I did not see this nearly as much. Are they spraying mold in these chemtrails? And he said, you hit the nail on the head, Dr. Kazer. This is exactly what they've been spraying. It's GMO-like mold, fungus, fungal overgrowth, destroying 75% of the forest and all the wildlife. This is the same stuff that we're breathing in. And the number one reason that we have issues with mold mycotoxins, and these are the reports, I'll show you guys, most common mold patterns across our 18 patients this past month is the ones that we saw the most present are causing fatigue, brain fog, kidney stress, mitochondrial dysfunction. This is where, yes, you can take things that support mitochondria like methylene blue, but I'd rather say what toxins are blocking you from making your own mitochondria. Let's detox you from this mold. Let's figure out where it's coming from. Weight loss resistance, can't lose weight. If you're the number one reason why people have gained weight since COVID, we're seeing a spike of it, obesity and overweight, is because of these mold mycotoxins. It's everywhere. It's in grains especially. So we're eating, if you're eating grains, you're getting a high dose of glyphosate and mold. That's what the animals are fed. So this is why we have brain fog. We have hormone disruption. We have gut inflammation, insulin resistance, liver congestion, bile flow issues. You can't take the waste out. Your body's trying. Then we have inflammation. But they are happy to give you an anti-inflammatory that does nothing to get rid of the arsonist that's causing the fires that are causing the inflammation to begin with. Are you guys seeing the point here? So as I wrap this up, I just wanted you guys to see this last slide. I know many people are at the point where they're like, oh my God, there's so many things that cause weight gain, body pain, energy drain, broken brain, the symptom train. How could I even begin tackling this? I know, and I get it. My empathy is with you. My compassion is with you. As a doctor, I've seen this for close to 20 years now. We are poisoned far more than we ever have. So there is a bridge. If you want to consider peptides now, before they take them away from us, you can use the link that Sean showed you earlier, and he'll show you one more time. Retatrutide, they're going to take this away. We have access to it now. If you click on VIP peptides, you guys can purchase it for $100 a month. They're going to make this a $1,500 per month drug. And it is, like I said earlier, going to be the number one most profitable drug for them in the world. It's not a drug now. It's just a peptide. We already make these things in our gut. We make GLPs in our gut. Why can't we make them as much as we used to? Why are Americans especially so obese? Because we don't have a healthy gut, because we are exposed to the many poisons that I just showed you guys. When you start to get rid of these poisons in your body, you can make your own GLPs again. But what's the difference between semaglutide, which is the peptide that is known as Ozempic, Retatrutide actually resolves based on, now they're at stage 3 trials. They're almost to the third, in which case it's going to become a drug and you won't be able to buy it on your own anymore for a fraction of the price. This is the result. They've had 24% body weight loss in trial discussion, 47% reduction in inflammatory markers, which is huge, going after the root cause. 2.1% HbA1c reduction, which is huge because when we see those in lab tests, we see people who are having a hard time losing weight. It resolves a good portion of that. 37% reduction in amyloid beta accumulation, one of the reasons why people have strokes and heart attacks. 42% reduction in visceral fat. This is huge in 16 weeks. Imagine losing half of the body fat around your belly, especially. That's the most harmful and damaging to your organs in 16 weeks. That's only 4 months. 28% fewer heart attacks, 22% fewer strokes, 67% tumor shrinkage. Look at that. That was huge when we saw that in the findings, and they're still looking at animal data. They're still looking at human data, but we're also seeing this with the patients that we're working with. Rebound weight gain, semaglutide was 72% when people are on Ozempic. When they got off of it, they gained weight 4 times faster than dieters alone. Versus retatrutide, when they get off of it, it's only 5 to 7%. So the exciting thing about that is that if you guys are out there and you're like, I don't want to do Ozempic, I don't want to do the crazy things, but I am looking for something very quick, you can consider retatrutide. You can consider Sloop as in capsule form if you don't want to inject. Then at that point, your body starts to crave less of these healthy foods, like the sugars, like the garbage. I call it garbage. It's carbohydrates, high grain diet, or eat the alcohol, the things that we're addicted to that we feel like we shouldn't be eating, but we still do. We crave them less. You're healthier. That's what happens when you look at things like retatrutide. That's why people are losing weight. That's why even the toxic food industry is creating labels that say GLP friendly, because it's actually starting to, like, we also have younger children, less, the desire alcohol less. So it actually works with curbing your addictions or your cravings. So there's many, many different things that are happening now in the peptide space. They're wanting to take away from us. And the less garbage that you eat, the less parasites that you will have. So it is a multifactorial thing. Then the bottom line is what I'll say, then I'll let Sean take it away from here, is we got to kill the parasites. We have to break down the metals and the biofilm in which they live. We've got to stop feeding them. We have to stop exposing ourselves to them so much, drinking clean water. Sean and I have done shows about this too, distilled water, eating real food, not GMO, glyphosate-laced foods. Most of that's grains. And starting to really change our immune system so that we're strong again, so these parasites can't keep latching on, and resolve and heal the damage that they cause with these peptides while we can, before they get taken away from us and get marked up 10 times more.
All right. Well, you made me a believer in retatrutide, and maybe I'll end my 3-month respite from peptides by purchasing some retatrutide. That is the miracle peptide. Tell us exactly where they should click to find this stuff.
Oh yeah, you got it. So you guys with peptides, it's a really nuanced, it's a beautiful space. You can get the free guide right there on the left where it says first name, last name. You can get the bundle right there, $17. So there's all different ways depending on how you like to learn. So that protocol dosage guide, if you guys just bought some retatrutide, or if you bought Sloop in capsule form, mice in their studies, they found that mice lost 12% body weight in the first month with just 1 capsule of Sloop. But that right there, and that's SLUPP. If you click on Shop VIP peptides where Sean just was, right there, stop. So this is where, when you guys sign up as a VIP, you're doing this for free. And once you put your information right there, then you are eligible to purchase the VIP peptides. And those are the ones like the retatrutide, tesamorelin, which is really good. I've done shows about that with addiction. All these peptides, I know it's a whole new science, but in my course and in my VIP group, which I talk with all of my members in there, if you guys want to be a member, that's on Sean's page too. You could ask me anything. All of this stuff is a lot more simple when you get to ask the doc anything. And you have access to me for like 4 hours a month, versus some of these other clinics. Now they're doing compound pharmacy. You got a 7-minute discussion and you're going to pay five times more. So I'm telling you, the peptide shutdown is already starting to happen. And that's where we're at. So I always say, do this while you can. Like even Mike Adams and I are talking about this, stock up on as much as you can while you can. Know which ones are great for you. I've got people off of antihistamines, crazy autoimmune flares, mast cell activation, things like that, with even something like a KPV peptide, K like kangaroo, P like Paul, V like Victor. These things have been a godsend to the work that we do. This is not medical advice. Again, I have to say that. But on this page, you guys can find all sorts of information about how to get started with peptides. If you scroll down, You could even see the Parasite Full Moon Challenge, which has its own peptide protocol in there too. Breaking down biofilm, reigniting your immune system with something called thymosin alpha 1. They're going to take that away and make those drugs as well. You can get it now for like $100 a month, but it's going to change. And already compound pharmacies are selling it for close to $500 a month. You guys can get access to this now, but very soon you won't be able to. So I know it's a lot of information in one show, but I'm doing the best I can before they take away our tools and our access to them and basically censor my voice, because they're taking away a lot of the things that have been working for hundreds of years and making it, an echo chamber of talk to your doctor, talk to your MD, get a medication, get a peptide now in medication form. It's insane. But we see a lot of miracles in our group. People who have never been able to lose weight, people who have never actually saving marriages, saving kids. It's beautiful, the service that we get to do. And I'm trying to get the word out now because very soon we might not be able to.
All right, guys, you can save 10% off supplements and cheat courses. Use SGT report. Now that's on Diane's site. But if you want the peptides, the retatrutide specifically, you'd click Shop VIP Peptides, and then you can use code SGT15 to save 15% when you go to Limitless.
Exactly. And so you use Sean's code SGT15 when you get to checkout. And if you want to know which peptides that you might consider, I would download the free guide or just get the $17 bundle. It has a lot of really good information about everything that you need to know. It's kind of like the Peptides 101, the dummies bundle, and getting started. Or like I said, if you want to ask me anything, I love getting people into our community that come from Sean, your group, because you guys think, a lot of you are using your brain and you're also wanting to decentralize and become your own best doctor, because look at what we talked about today alone. We never know when they're going to start saying, oh, you can't talk about natural cancer therapies even in the United States. Dr. Mack has had to move from Canada to the United States. Are we next? So we're encroaching. They're encroaching to our health freedom, our wealth freedom. And truly, the only person that you should be guruizing is yourself and healing your body. And then, of course, like we talk about whatever religion that you subscribe to, we talked about Jesus a lot today too. Whatever makes you feel peaceful, but you got to do something. God is not just going to come and save everybody. That's what people keep talking about, but you got to save yourself first. Even Jesus talked about that.
Yeah. And you and I, we talked before we hit record that we're both empathic people. We care about others. So we're feeling a lot of anxiety. And last question for you, without disclosing your specific location, how is life in the Yucatan Peninsula? Just for people that are freaked out about the Mexican cartels and a lot of propaganda. The food's cleaner. I don't see chemtrails when I'm down there. Do you? I mean, what's life like in the Yucatan Peninsula for Diane Kazer?
It's paradise.
You love it, huh?
It's paradise. Of course, Mexico has and when I say Mexico, everybody thinks Mexico is this tiny little place, and some things happened in Guadalajara, and there was some bombing, and Trump was the one who was saying, oh, I was the one that did that. Oh, I did that. There's like that meme going around. And I got a lot of messages. People were like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm down here in paradise. And, we're a close-knit community. A lot of people that came from Canada and the United States and the UK, and we came here for peace. And the main reasons I moved here is because I don't see 5G towers. I don't see chemtrails. I don't see GMO sprayed, glyphosate sprayed GMO food everywhere. I go to a juice store. I go to a vegetable and juice market right on the corner, and I buy food that's already ripe. It's not like when you go to Sam's Club or Costco and it's those avocados are super hard because they prematurely pick them off the avocado tree and then they're supposed to get ripe when they've been taken away from their source of minerals. This is not food. Just because it's a hard avocado that you buy at Sam's Club, oh, I eat real food. Yeah, but it got pulled off the tree before it was even close to being ripe. This is why we need to eat locally. So I love it here. I love it here. And most Mexicans, they're kind of ignorant intentionally. They just want to live in peace. They want to live off the land. They want to live in harmony, and they want to help each other out. So I'm so happy down here. We didn't see any of the same crap that the like you said, the whore news media wanted to share, like, oh, all of Mexico is doomed. Yeah, well, I don't really agree with our president, but it's we the people, and it always has been.
Yeah. Well, let's pray. Let's pray that we can save our nation, make it sovereign, keep it sovereign as they move us towards UN Agenda 2030 openly now. They're fast tracking it all over the Western world, folks. as they send our men, our troops, into a potential meat grinder in a war that ought not be happening at all. And here's Diane's site, guys. I will leave it linked below. Got a lot of links to leave below in this one, but the coupon codes and all the links will be below this video in the information section. We've covered a lot. We've gone long today, Diane. Sometimes we do. We're kindred spirits. It's good to catch up with you again. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sean. And if you guys feel overwhelmed, just one thing that really spoke to you today that really stood out, that's probably your best place to start. And then, you can get into our community and we can serve you from there. But we help patients, we help people with programs so you could DIY, or products or peptides so that you could do them on your own. But don't be confused and have information paralysis. Just say there was something that Diane and Sean talked about today and it really stood out, and that's where I'll start. But don't just be smarter humans from the show. And be like the anti-politicians and actually take action, and not just talk, because what's the point? Take action.
All right. Diane Kazer, Dr. Diane Kazer has been our guest. Diane, thank you so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
Yeah, of course. And friends, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Long one here, but hopefully you got something out of it. And I'll remind you guys every single day for free. Check us out to get the real news 24/7 at sgtreport.com. And until next time, may God bless you and yours. Bye-bye.
I have 3 friends. All 3 of them had stage 4 cancer. All 3 of them don't have cancer right now at all. And they had some serious stuff going on.
And what did they take?
Jesus. They took what you've heard they've taken.
Ivermectin?
Fenbendazole.
And fenbendazole? Yeah.
That's
I'm hearing that a lot.